Hey guys, and welcome to another brand new video. In this video, we have a little bit of a quick update when it comes to the PlayStation 5 Pro specs that are now being rumored and also now apparently maybe even stronger than being expected. We also have some pretty crazy news when it comes to Armored Core 6, where people are going absolutely rambunctious. We have some pretty big news when it comes to GTA and Rockstar with some really big executives leaving, and as well a little bit of a kind of nifty Sega and Atlas combination announcement that might be coming out in the near future. So I'm going to go talk about all this throughout this video itself, and if you guys have in mind, I'm just going to give you guys a quick heads up. These next few days might be a little bit of a crazier upload schedule too as well. I have a little bit of a cat thing going on, which I may have a quick video on just to keep you guys up in the loop for that one, so if you guys do not mind for that. So make sure you guys are subscribed with the notifications on. We have the Twitter and Twitch room down below in case you guys would like to go and follow. We have all the Amazon links too as well, and of course, give me your thoughts and comments all throughout this video, and let's go and dive on into some, first and foremost, some pretty good PlayStation 5 Pro news and everything else right afterwards. So, hello, happy weekend. Very first and foremost, we have had some news when it comes to the PlayStation 5 Pro, where some new information has now come out. We're now seeing some at least rough ideas and rough specifications of what the consoles are expected to go and have, and to me, it's one of those bigger and nicer things, where the console does seem like it's almost like a double 2x improvement of the current PlayStation 5 systems, and as well, also almost seems like it might be comparable to a good mid-tier PC, which if you guys know as of right this second, that would be probably a massive, massive price decrease in terms of the same specs and comparisons. Probably a mid-range PC right now is probably around $1,500 or $2,000, depending on what you're going for. Maybe a little bit less, a little bit higher, depending on what your range of mid-range is. And we're probably going to be getting a pretty good deal for console gamers and anyone who does not want to do a deep dive into PC gaming that as well also wants to be relevant. So as of right now, we have a little bit more updates too on our prior leaks as well. Now, this is kind of intriguing because we had some of this pop out not too long ago, and I think this will be nice. So a couple of leaks concerning the expected PS5 Pro console have turned up, and once again, always keep these leaks with a grain of salt, although typically when more leaks keep on coming out and out, or at least the rough expectations and speculations, it does that a lot more for it. So there's actually some now contrasting news in regards to now this brand new Viola APU, and it seems like the PS5 specifications will leave it at around twice the GPU computing performance of the PlayStation 5, despite still sporting the Zen 2 base CPU component. So kind of the really quick, too long, won't want to go super into this one. It seems like the GPU itself may be a pretty big increase. That alone is a very big thumbs up, and as well, it also might be actually a slight decrease in the technology for the CPU. Now, that means more of like the GPU will have a better computing power, basically better frames, better resolution, and all of that. Maybe also potential for the 8K, which is the standard for everyone's like rumors on this. And then the CPU is going to be a little bit on the lower end compared to what they were expecting before, but in comparison to the PlayStation 5's current CPU, it will be a way higher clock speed and better component. So I have a nice little thing over here from Red Gaming Tech that has posted even more of their PS5 leaks and some just more general information. And this information is actually somewhat contradicting on prior information that came out, although it's still on the same wavelength about the upgraded PlayStation 5 console. So saying right now, arguably the biggest difference that could be in the cards is the custom Viola APU, which is like the overall general processing unit part that Sony is believed to be working on for the PS5 Pro. So now instead of having the CPU component utilizing Zen 4, as of right this second, Paul Exelon reckons Zen 2 is the more likely choice now. So still on the speculation side, the channel host pins that Sony has multiple designs floating around for the Pro model, including a Zen 4 base design, but that having a Zen 2 8C16T CPU part that may reach an almost 4 GHz clock rate could also be sufficient, as would not be the most vital component of the console. So basically what they're trying to speculate on this one, once again, take everything with a grain of salt, is that the PlayStation 5 will be having a slightly not as new CPU, which is okay. Because imagine like you still have really nice higher end CPUs from back in the day. So imagine you have technology. Let's maybe good examples like the iPhone base versus the iPhone Pro. It's released in the same exact year, but the slightly nicer iPhone will maybe have more storage space, maybe a slightly better processor, slightly better camera, whatever it might be. But it's released at the same time. So then 3 years later, you could still have that same improved, like nicer Pro camera and replace that instead. Like hopefully that's a good metaphor. If not, just imagine it's older technology but better technology. So it might be more price efficient and still get the job done. Because the big for work when it comes to like performance would be more based on the GPU, I'd imagine, rather than anything else in the CPU. CPU still matters, and it still seems like it's going to be an improvement either way. So basically leave Sony able to focus on the GPU part of the APU, so basically trying to prioritize the resolution and frames and all of that, which makes a lot of sense. Which, considering the PS5 Pro status as a console for gaming, would make a lot of sense. This is where another known leaker, Kepler, so we have even more big leaks coming out, has offered a tidbit about the GPU's form. A recent X post simply states that with an X8787 with this configuration potentially pointing to the PS5 Pro's processor having a GPU with 32 WGPs or group processors, but with 2 disabled to make an active count of 30 WGUs or 60 CUs. So Excellence also argues the GPU could clock at around 2,500 MHz to 2,800 MHz, resulting in a compute performance from 19.2 teraflops from 2,500 MHz clock to 21.5 teraflops as well to run the 2,800 megahertz clock as well, based on the presence of the 30 WGPs. That means that the PS5 Pro could perform at twice the level of the PS5 at 1028 teraflops, something which has been predicted by other outside sources, and typically the more sources that say this type of stuff, the more likely this will usually be. So I respect this and I understand this, and still it's just, well, nice. It does seem like this will be an actual proper big improvement. And if you guys are big on PCs or PC building, at least from my opinion, you guys can chime in down below, it typically does mean that the GPUs are one of the more extensive things you want to upgrade. Like a CPU is very important. Like basically that's really good for, let's say, like loading the operating systems, running games. Some games are also based more on CPU, although typically console games are way more optimized, and I'd probably say a GPU matters a lot more, because in comparison to a higher end PC, CPUs are, this is my opinion, but basically I feel like GPUs have a bigger jump in terms of performance, especially if you're going for higher frame rates and consistent frame rates, rather than a CPU, which is more based on, like, it's still fine. Like, you basically have a mediocre CPU, but a better GPU is a better trade-off if you're more so looking at PCs. That's just my opinion on that. So a lot of the information offered this time around has been touched on before, so this is kind of similar to our prior videos, although once again, the CPU is apparently being downgraded to older technology, but also an updated technology as well, at least based on these current expectations and rumors. So this was also the same thing too with the RDNA 3.5 architecture and the 16 gigabytes of RAM being onboarded. However, the previous claim that the PS5 Pro chip might be capable of 96 ROPs is now apparently debated, with the same source now saying it can be 64, 96, or even 128, with multiple PS5 Pro models incoming. So there is like a few things to know on this one too as well, and this is like, once again, just pure speculation. Kind of similar how the Xbox Series S has multiple versions of their things, like the Xbox Series X and S are similar to the fact they can still play the same games on the same ecosystem, but as well different enough that their different specs, different price points could be a really big thing tied on in. So as well, they also have stated that they heard that the PS5 SSD has been tweaked, and we've heard that ourselves and talked about it in separate videos, but they do not know in which manner, in terms of more of just a better, more efficient, newer SSD, if it's just a bigger one that's based on into it for like the built-in things, so let's say it assumes like a 2 terabyte instead, or etc. And the leaker compares the potential PlayStation 5 Pro to having a similar level of power as a current mid to high range PC, but is also worrying, reminding his viewers that Sony could always cancel plans to release a Pro variant of its PS5, or as well release it with, let's say, a really expensive $800 price tag. So it does seem like there is some good updates, double the speed of a normal PS5, and as well, new updates for it. Take everything with a grain of salt, but fun to see. Also had some pretty cool stuff when it comes to Armored Core 6, which if you guys have had a chance to check it out, let me know. I'll probably be checking that out sometime soon. Or you can now go and basically make any type of cool branding on these if you guys would like. And we're seeing a lot of really good various options for this. Like we're seeing some fun things like the Ghostbusters logo popping on off. You guys kind of rocking, people rocking the Among Us. We also have Armored Core stuff too as well, including Elden Ring. Same designers, make sense. Even things like the Witcher players too as well working on in. They also have even Batman arcs, which looks really cool, and just everything with this, even Venom. Like you guys can kind of tell people have a lot of fun with this game, so you can basically go and do almost anything you guys would like to go and see. So like this looks awesome. I actually love how this is. Even look at the little stitch too as well. We had some big news too for the vice president of writing leaving Rockstar though after 16 years, which makes people a little bit worried about any future type of game, such as for GTA 6, especially after 16 years of writing. Although if you guys do think this will probably be at least somewhat worked into GTA 6 already, and obviously writers are all the time. But there has been a brand new update on the LinkedIn status for GTA 6, and it does kind of seem like they're now working on something else. But after 16 years is a pretty long time for being such a big executive when it comes to working at something like GTA or all these other various games too as well. But they've worked on a lot, like all these, just like a lot of games, pretty much every big Rockstar game. Last but not least was a big Sega and Atlas announcements for all the weebs out there for next month. We're not really sure exactly what's going to be going on, whether it's a brand new game release, more anime-based stuff, or anything else in between. But there is going to be a special broadcast broadcast with Atlas at next month's Tokyo Game Show. Last time they have done games like specific games, think like, the Personas, etc. So you could maybe have brand new announcements, games, or even cool anime stuff. So be on the lookout for that in this next few months. So anyway, make sure you guys are subscribed, notifications on. Sorry if that upload schedule's gonna be a little bit weird these next few days. Twitter and Twitch room, pull me up on Twitch if you guys are bored right now for a little mini stream, and I appreciate you guys all so much for watching here in the first place.